very green here.
Oh, and there's a lovely park. It used to be called Dover Street.
But today we know it as Green Park.
In this week's episode.
Pickly Dickly light. There it is.
Ta-da.
Oh, look!
Simpson and Son.
Quick law. There it is.
There are going to be a lot of wow factors on this tour. Just look at the cables.
Yeah.
I think this is the bit where you're going to see the juice is worth the squeeze.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the Hidden London Hangouts. Today we're at a place that I've been itching to get into for a very, very long time. Almost sort of promised a celebrity an invitation to go to this place and it's not happened, so I'm very sorry. We'll explain later. But we're at Green Park today. It wasn't always called Green Park either, as you will find out. I don't do this on my own. I've got three wonderful people from the London Transport Museum to guide us through our location and to have a bit of a giggle along the way. First of all, Mr. Niggs, howdy ho down. You're looking very good in your cowboy outfit.
I thought I'd do a little bit of flannel today. It's I think I came out of this station looking a little bit like this as well. So a bit checkerboarded from leaning on a few things as I went round. But
It was
what a
fantastic
fantastic
I know,
export this
yeah,
is.
my
Love
lungs
a
have been
London.
like wafers ever since. City Holloway and insulating tape on the walls. How are you, my love?
Yes, we're all good here. I'm just amazed that Chris is wearing flannel. I'm so hot where I'm sitting, but that might be because I've got like a small combustion engine living in my stomach at the moment. So I'm good. I'm tired. I'm good.
And just to double check, she's pregnant. She's not actually swallowed a combustion engine.
Yeah. There he
Oh,
is.
there she is. And there he is. Laura Hilton Brown, as always, welcome back, my lovely. Good to see you. And what a day we had traipsing around Green Park.
It was a very dusty day, wasn't it? I've only been once before this visit, so I remembered some little bits and we went to some different bits, so it was very exciting for me.
Without further ado, let's get to Dover Street. So the Fab Five. I'll say five because look, we've got an extra one here.
Profile shot.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We are standing here at what was the original Green Park station in Dover Street.
Yep,
There it is.
opposite the rather lovely Ritz.
It's gorgeous,
You're already
isn't it?
thinking about going there for
Totally
afternoon tea,
am
aren't
thinking
you?
about afternoon tea, can't lie.
And also a remarkably long way down Piccadilly
Yeah.
It
to
is,
Green
yeah.
Park.
Yeah.
It just goes to show the difference between the lifts that would have gone up and down to platform there and the escalators which go that way a long way.
And that massive corridor between the Jubilee, Victoria, absolutely enormous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there is also, I mean, so we're probably going to show you what the original Leslie Green building looked like now. Yes. But it's quite extraordinary to think that was just there. And lifts, let's see, 4 lifts to take passengers down to the platform of the Great Northern Piccadilly and Brompton Railway opened on the 15th of December 1906.
So 1906, it was Dover Street. When did it become Green Park?
1933.
Wow, so it was Dover Street for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was, but then after that, the building survived for a surprisingly long time and was leased out to the Milk Marketing Board or their equivalent at the time.
As a Leslie
bizarrely.
Green frontage.
Yeah, as a surface building.
Wow.
And this is one of these classic places where you can see how the station is built as it was. So the Piccadilly line is running underneath the street there along Piccadilly itself. And then when we go down below, we'll see the passageways that came up over
That
the
come off
track,
it.
and along to where the lift shafts would have come up at the side building just there.
And it makes full sense, doesn't it? When you think about the Great Northern, Piccadilly and Brompton Railway, as it was first called, it had so many stations along it, all of about similar distance apart. And then as times changed, as you say, with escalators replacing lifts, you didn't need all those stations. So stations moved and others shut, like Down Street. They didn't need them anymore.
And also, just like Down Street, you've got this station building that's built on the available plot down a little side street and not exactly on the main drag and getting noticed by people coming past. So the modern day station is built directly onto Piccadilly.
I am so itching to see what's left of the original Dover Street.
Yeah.
So
I've got the
itching.
key in my back pocket, so let's don the high vis and go do it.
Just do it.
Marvellous. Let's do this. So this escalator is taking us back up Piccadilly, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to give us an idea where we are.
So yeah, we're heading back towards where we stood on the street
Yeah.
corner, just 20 odd metres lower down.
Yeah.
It is quite a deep one, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, the Piccadilly line is deep.
We like a deep escalator. We do.
We
Do you know, this is taking me back already to episode 1 of this series with you saying how much you liked our escalator chats.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
What are the fascinating
Actually-
facts have you got about the escalators here then? Because it's quite long.
There's a lot of them. They go in lots of different
Fascinating
directions.
fact.
Well, you know, it's quite interesting that it's direct from ticket hall to platforms here, because often at the Piccadilly line you need to do sort of double escalator it.
Well, it does have quite a lot of escalators because it's got the ones down to the Victoria line and the ones down to the Jubilee line, so it's a fair few.
East or west,
Good
Nixie?
trick though.
Let's go east.
Eastbound.
Well, here we are then, loves. We've walked what feels like miles from where we joined the station, and we are basically now right below Dover Street, aren't we?
Pretty much, yeah. So we've come down the escalators and then we've walked up down most of the platform, and you can see just there we've got one of the bridges which takes you over the track and towards the lift shafts.
Of course, so that's no longer in use.
That's right.
Wow.
So that's where we're going.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually
Exciting.
looked up then when
I
you
know.
said it.
Oh,
It's just
hi.
above us.
So really, that's underneath that street we were just stood on.
Yeah. Fabulous. Right, well, nice. I don't like these tiles, they're new. I don't like them. But at least they are pale blue, which I believe was the original Dover Street colours. Was it pale
Yes,
blue?
you will see them
Well, you're
later.
about to see them.
So do we like these, Laura?
I like the
Or-
colour.
Yeah.
I do like the colour.
There is a small room at the end of this platform which has some of the 80s tiles, which are pink and blue.
Oh, lovely.
So they survived into
Lovely.
the 90s, so yeah. Well, look, we've got
have a
the
look.
key. Let's go and hit the door.
Let's grab the secrets.
Siddy, I bestow upon you the key of entry. Do the honours.
My last
sorry.
It's probably going
time,
to be
right behind you.
the last time we get to do a city explore with a key.
at least
So we should
for
make
a
the most
year.
of it.
Oh wait,
There we go. What a pro.
Can you imagine if she pushed too hard and went into labour? That'd
Let's
be
not do
terrible,
that.
wouldn't it?
Let's
We can't
not
have
do
Let's
that.
not joke
So-
about that.
Oh, this is good.
that.
Pickly dickly
Oh,
like.
there it is.
Ta-da!
Oh, think somebody might
It's
be
always
in
fun,
here.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Seeing
it is. And look at the colour of the tiles.
There
You
we
see,
go.
look.
Here we
I
go.
think they're a bit. Do you know what? They're Camden Town blue, aren't
They're
they?
paler than
They
outside,
are.
aren't
Yes,
They are
that is a
Camden
good point.
Town. That's really. Well, I've never seen similar colours on two stations before.
What I really like about these ones, though, is you've got everything from blue to practically yellow
Yeah.
in one tile.
And they are pretty.
Cream and white, so they're two different shades.
Yeah,
yeah,
the ones are dark. She's right, and darker underneath.
Well
yeah.
spotted, Sids.
It's a fairly long corridor, really, isn't it?
It
You can
is.
See back that way, there's our public corridor.
It's a little breezy.
And this would have been part of a one-way system to the
Yeah,
lifts.
that's
so
right.
this would have either been to the lifts or from the lifts, but not
I think
both.
And-
from the lifts.
You can actually, if you
exit.
stay there, I'll just show the viewers. The other bridge is just there. This passageway sort of goes around a gold leg, and the lifts are up there, and then
It comes
there's a
back
parallel
round.
passageway just off to our left that we'll see in a minute.
And quite typical of Leslie Green's design of station, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, that circulation.
Always
so-
a one-way flow. Few exceptions, Old Witch doesn't get its one-way flow finished. Didn't have the capacity. But Laura, I like what you said about the breeze just then and there.
Yeah.
Okay, because what is the fate of disused passageways?
Vents.
But to become vent shafts and storage sites for
Well, yeah.
things like that for essential works.
It does
And
seem such a
does
treat as
suggest-
well, doesn't it, when we get to see these little spaces which have still got the original tiles from early 1900s. I mean, it's just phenomenal, really, and they are in pretty good
They're in
nick,
good,
actually.
good shape, especially when you see that there have been walls erected here,
Yeah.
but more on that later.
Also, yeah, when you know how this has been used since,
Yeah.
it's remarkable it
Yeah.
survived, isn't it? But should we go and have a look at, well, let's take the right-hand turn up there and
Right.
go and see the lift shafts first, shall
Sure.
we?
Are you piecing it together in your heads? Yeah.
This is fascinating. I love all this. I love all this. I can't walk. But I'm just falling over.
So you might notice there's a little passageway just there,
Oh, look.
which we'll come back to.
Dinky
And that's
doorway.
not original.
Oh, it's that's got paint that we've seen before.
Correct.
Even the floor, look.
Yep.
And if you look up here, you'll also see there's paint that we've seen before.
Yes.
So one of the reasons that I have a real love for Dover Street is it's almost a sister site, I think, to Down Street. It's had very similar things done to it that we think of as happening at Down Street, that bunkerisation, the turning it into a wartime facility in the Second World War. And this is the first place that you're going to start to see where walls were added, colours that don't belong in stations were added, and if you look at the floor, you can see again where the walls were. So, Alex, where you're stood, you're basically on the corridor.
This is remarkable, isn't it? And
And-
we are starting to see colours. It's the paint colours, the stripes.
And all of these witness marks in the ceiling for the studs.
What's the colour on the pillar here? Is that posters or paint, do you think?
Interesting. That looks like layers of paint sort of gradually cracking
Yeah.
through, but maybe with some poster on it as well.
It's got like a blue, reddy, orangey vibe going on.
Because it is on what was a poster frame there. Do you
Yeah.
see it? So it's got the. But and what you stood in is actually a telephone exchange
Okay.
in the Second World War. So a bit like Down Street.
Very down streety.
Yeah.
So the question from the cameraman, if the railway executive had Down Street, what was this the phone exchange for? Was there any particular interest to it?
The
Well-
London Transport Executive. So
All
the
from
top
here?
brass were all
Yep.
here.
And this was the last one of the bunkers to be built. So you get Brompton Road is kind of the prototype, and that's for War Department, for air defence for the capital. Down Street is probably the biggest, most thorough example, but this was the last one that we're aware of that was available and was needed for the London Transport Committee themselves to run the system.
So this is wartime 55 Broadway.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the telephone exchange here is connected into that headquarter telephone exchange in the basement of 55 Broadway. It's that important.
That's
Now-
remarkable.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
There is a little wrinkle with it though,
Oh.
which is when they did it, which was in the spring of 1941. So by the time they're building and finishing this, the Blitz is actually coming to an end.
Yeah.
But they're building it with all the experience of those previous bunkers. So arguably, it's kind of the most bougie one of the lot.
It is.
From the little that survives
They'd be
about
down
it.
with the experience.
Well,
of
and
it by
also
then
they
a
had to
little bit
do,
as well.
so all of these corridors were filled with artworks at the time because all of the stuff from the London Gallery, from the Tate galleries was stored here. And then Lord Ashfield and co said, no, actually we want it, and they had to move it all to Piccadilly Circus. So before all of this was built, imagine, packed full of crates full of priceless artwork.
Heirlooms.
Yeah.
And speaking of Lord Ashfield, we should probably just go and have a look at where his wartime residence was,
Yeah.
just round here.
There is also one thing that I think Alex might like.
Yes,
Which
yes,
is,
yes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Give me that.
I just thought you'd
Right.
like to see this.
Yeah, careful. Look at all of that on the floor.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Friend
look.
Simpson and Sons.
Quick, Law.
Law.
Jump in here. Jump in
Definitely
here.
one that
You'll
needs
love
catching.
this.
Just mind your step there.
Look at this. Look. And that, just to explain, this is the maker's tile, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of the company that provided and then fitted the tiles.
At some of the stations.
Yeah.
So you've got Wallace Croft on some, you've got Simpsons here.
And Simpson and Moore, as there are on so many of those. I'd love the colour. I'm so glad someone's wiped that off. That is so good.
So you didn't have to.
Probably us to go.
Previous visit, yeah.
And also you can
Swingy
see
camera.
there, so we're in the former spiral staircase
man.
here.
Law, can you give me some light on that?
Laura's doing a masterful job at not falling over on there.
Oh, hang on. I can
Yep.
see what you're chatting about now.
Look at this, hun.
I'm like, why are there so many underfoot hazards in here?
Well, they needed to put in plumbing for that top brass, didn't they?
I'll let them off.
And do you know what? As if the tile work isn't useful enough, then you look at this, and in its own way, it's beautiful.
It is. This is obviously a modern day intervention with really quite recent ladder and treads on that there. But
Wait, didn't
that's
you
your
climb
shaft.
up there, Chris?
no, I've not been up that one.
Oh, right.
That one doesn't really go anywhere interesting. But I have been up the neighbouring shafts, and they're a lot more interesting. In fact, our patrons have already seen that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And for
He was
anyone
lost there for about 40 minutes.
It was,
I
it was
thought.
up there a little while, but for anyone who this is their first episode, right? So
Yeah.
welcome if this is your first episode. Up there is like a concrete plug, and that would have carried on much further to create the whole lift shaft, wouldn't it, before it was blocked off?
The stair shaft. That's
Yes.
right.
Oh, this is just stairs.
It's all stairs. Yeah. But that concrete cap is a crucial part of making this bomb-proof site. So you've got not only the steel frame building that's still above it, the Leslie Green building above it, you've now got these concrete plugs. So it would have taken repeated heavy bomb strikes to be of any threat at all to this facility. It really was, to all intents and purposes, utterly safe.
Is that water dripping?
Yes,
or is
I
that
can
just
hear
like
a little
hearing
bit of-
playing
I can hear
drips?
water.
It is a
Yeah.
little bit drippy in the corner there. Right,
Right.
so we got a new lift shaft.
Yep.
What's that up there? So just HWC, is it?
Oh yeah, that's
That's
a
the company that
manufacturer of the foundry, basically, for the cast iron.
It's
Right.
all here, isn't it? Isn't it funny how, if you go back 4 years when we started all this, we weren't quite so well versed on the things we need to look out for. It's like we now need to look at the lift doors, we now need to look at the stair shafts, we now need to look
Yep.
at these dimples on the wall to show where the tiles were.
To the
I'm
lift
gonna
shaft.
go get my torch. Lovely.
So we've got the route here from the lifts down to platform, that way. And here's a lovely lift doorway.
Right. Oh, sorry.
That's all right, darling.
Which is now home to a large ventilation duct.
And another maker's tile.
Yeah.
Just in
Get
there.
and
Can you
get
see that,
this
babe?
one.
Let me see.
Can you see just in there through
Look
there?
how
I can
teeny
shut the
tiny
door
it
if you like.
is.
That's it. Been
Got it?
teasingly uncovered, hasn't it?
It's like the Euro trash, isn't it, when they shut the doors?
Well spotted.
Wow, look at these tiles. They're just so grime-ridden.
We
They've
think-
been kind of over-painted as well here, if you look.
Is that distemper or something like that?
Yeah, well, we're going to start seeing more and more of that painting
Yeah.
in the wartime colours as we go around here. But the lift shafts were reused during the Second World War and had floors put in them. So it was a bit of a hybrid between the fit out that had been done at Brompton Road and the fit out that was done at Down Street, where they didn't use the lift shaft for flooring. They did here.
And I guess a little bit of Holborn as well, because they
Yeah.
fitted that out in 41 and 42.
And was it Chancery Lane or St Paul's that had that lift shaft? with
That's
the-
right, yeah.
That's-
Absolutely
yeah,
right.
St
That's,
Paul's.
that's right.
Yeah.
It was the control room for
Yeah.
the central
CEB.
electricity
It's
board.
amazing, isn't it? Because I mean, there are large spaces, and if you
Yeah.
divide them off, you've got big size offices in a fairly safe metallic structure, haven't you?
That's
Cylinder.
right.
Cylinder.
Now, of course, post-war, it's always stripped out and turned into forced ventilation. But if you know where to look, there are still some nice glimpses of the bits that weren't in the way that survived. So let's head around that way.
Yep.
So if you look just here, you've got, see where there was a concrete wall in here that's been smashed out. Exactly the same technique we saw at Down Street in the Churchill modification corridor, where you've got a piece of plasterboard held on a wooden batten, and then you pour quick setting concrete down the centre, and you've got yourself a very quick but strong concrete wall there, and that went right across there. So this doorway was temporarily blocked off for that wartime modification.
It's fascinating.
It really is.
If you know what to look for.
When did they take the walls back out again?
Smash through.
These facilities weren't needed after the Second World War, so they were fairly quickly knocked out as soon as they were needed for ventilation and other equipment. But this is the real prize.
If you've ever done the Down Street tour, you completely know what these colours are, don't you?
They were addicted to having pinstripes on the wall detail. Do you remember we saw this at St Paul's as well in the
But like
control
green.
room? That's right. There's a green and cream, I think, with a black.
Good memory.
stripe.
Did not
And
remember
Down
that.
Street, because it was the National Railways, it was chocolate and cream. It was almost perfect GWR colours. But you've got this little room here, and again a bit of surviving render where the tiles have been stripped on that side, again with that pinstripe. So you know this was a wartime room.
It's remarkable. And what's
It's
around
just
there?
for aesthetics.
Yeah, it's to change it from a station to more of an office or an accommodation.
Okay.
Just to
vibe.
tart it up.
Yeah.
Now, once you start to be able to read the room like this, and you can see those walls,
Yeah.
you can see the kind of the office or the bedroom walls that are being created, then when you've got your eye in, you can start to read the other passageway even better, and that's got a lot of riches to go at.
It's a very clever use of space.
It is, and I do find it remarkable though. We sit and marvel at the tiles now, but way back when all hell was breaking loose at ground level, you'd come down here to a freshly plastered wall and a freshly painted wall. It would feel like Nirvana down here by comparison, wouldn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, the regular staff would be working down here all the time. So you'd want it to feel like an office space and a living accommodation rather than a hastily converted station.
Not least of all because you'd have no idea how long the wall was going to last.
Right, absolutely right. So let's go and have a look at some of the comforts perhaps that they had on the other side of
Comforts,
the
here we
shaft.
come.
So here, this lovely tiling very quickly gives way to a lot of conversion and an awful lot of heat with this equipment.
It's
Oh.
hot here.
We're going to have to be quick in here.
Hot, hot.
But this is actually my favourite corner of this space because do you know whose room this was?
Elton John. Okay.
No, guess again.
Was it Lord Ashfield's?
Yes.
Yeah. This area might not look like much, but actually it's arguably one of the most important bits because just around there you've got what was the lift shaft with a conference room for Lord Ashfield and all of his immediate team, but then just here was actually his bedroom.
Really?
It's really hard to piece this station back together. When
But
you
you're
come on the
gonna
tour
try.
that we're going to be doing of this site, you're going to love this bit because we've done a lot of piecing together, haven't we, City, from records, from the physical things that survive here, which we know who was here, whose staff was here, we know roughly the facilities that they have, but you have to come and look at the surviving physical things to piece together where it actually was. And you can see where the walls were even just down here. So that separated Lord Ashfield's bedroom. When I found this was how I understood how the walls had been created
So they
at Down
create-
Street. So
Right, a batten,
that's
two
it.
plasterboards, Paul.
That's it.
Oh yeah, and also, I mean, it makes sense. So Lord Ashfield lived in Curzon Street, which is just around the corner. But Piccadilly and Mayfair in general was getting bombarded quite a lot during the Blitz. So he probably just went, well, I need a bunker.
Get me
I need
out
a
of
bunker,
here.
get me a bunker.
It's handy, isn't it?
And somewhere
It's-
close by,
And
thanks very
remind
much.
us who was Lord Ashfield as well, just for anyone who doesn't know.
Yes, the original chairman of the Underground Electric Railways of London, later the London Passenger Transport Board. So the big boss.
He was Big Cheese.
Big
That's right.
cheese.
Him and Frank Pick were that kind of golden combination of people who ran London Transport in its early years. And as you say, he was a couple of minutes walk from here.
Yeah.
I don't think it was just about the convenience
No,
of that because,
obviously.
of course, Down Street is the next station, and that was running the nation's railway.
Yeah.
So this was the fifth biggest
Makes sense.
railway, and
Yeah.
therefore having those two together was really key. what it is to have a private bedroom and a private bathroom
Lovely.
in a disused station.
Yeah.
Possibly not quite as hot then as it is now.
Yeah, I'm about to give birth actually.
Yeah,
so.
let's get some back on.
Let's get out of here.
Love a curved corridor.
I love tiles. Look at the tiles.
Detail.
It's that look. That is beautiful and original and intact and stunning.
Intact, yeah.
I think, just like Down Street, this is one of these stations where you can only really get your head around it when you come and visit.
Yeah.
And that will be possible soon.
Quite a lot to piece together, isn't it?
There is, and there's a lot of similarities between other stations because this bit reminds me of Baker Street.
Yeah, it does,
That's
yeah.
sort of
Yeah, the horseshoe
the
there.
horseshoe
Yeah.
bit round here,
Yeah.
and this is part of the one-way system that we talk about, where people could go to the lifts or from the lifts, or to
Right.
the stairs.
Yeah, Chris,
Yeah,
you're our science man on the ground.
hit me.
These partitions, these doors that we've got here, we walked through one of them over there. You might want to
Yeah.
show it. It's got kind of like, I don't know, is that sort
Silver?
of
Yeah, it's-
aluminium on
Yeah,
there?
that's right. It's a kind of aluminium reflective material. Yeah.
Why are they there?
Well, they look relatively modern.
Yeah, they do.
And I think it's because there's been projects in here which required breaks in the
Like,
corridors.
yeah.
However, if you look at where they're positioned, I think they are in the same position as some of the wartime partitioning.
Yeah.
I think it's just that was made out of timber and plasterboard and stuff, and has been knocked out and put back with stuff which is non-combustible in later years, which makes me suspect when it might have been done
Got you.
post King's Cross.
Yeah.
But if you look at the floor, one of the things I wanted to point out here, do you see just here on the
Slightly
floor?
raised bit.
Well, this is a wall. So the corridor
Is where
was
Alex
on
is.
that side. Yeah, it's on that side. So
But
they've got
they're thin.
a
Hello,
curved,
sir. In
Hello,
the corridor.
a curved corridor built with that technique I was describing before with the plasterboard.
So
and
narrow,
concrete
but
walls.
enough for you to
Yeah.
walk
You're
along
banking
with
on
your
rations here, aren't you? I tell
Great
you, it's so
few
thin.
biscuits.
Well, if you think about that, it's exactly the same width as they are at Down Street,
Yeah.
and the ones that survive there. And
What a
means you
sort of
can make-
rabbit's warren it would have felt like.
Yeah, like very compact.
Yeah.
Every inch used.
Because the walls here are relatively clear, apart from the cabling, I presume that these were offices on this bit,
Okay.
because there are witness marks that suggest bathrooms and
Yeah.
toilets that way, whereas here they're fairly clear. So I think they're just like the offices in the equivalent room at Down Street.
Yeah.
But through there, we're going to see some more witness marks on the walls. So let's go and have a look. So again, we can see we've got stuff on this side showing rooms. So you're in a
I'm
set
in
of
the room.
rooms here. Yeah,
I'm in the
and
room
you
with
can see there's a
you.
room
Excellent.
divider there.
In the room.
But do you know what these witness marks indicate? Particularly this bit here.
I do.
I know you do, Sidney.
Well, that's pretty heavy duty.
It is.
So something doesn't move.
Did that suck or blow?
It did neither. If you look, you've got some threaded bar here, which had that mount on it. So I'll give you a clue. It's a mount, and look at the width of it, and look at the number of things. You might recognise that as well. It's not that long ago that things that you would find in the house would have a mount like that as well.
Oh,
Can I say it?
yeah.
Tell you what,
Some kind of heat.
do you want to have a
or-
look at the floor?
Yeah.
It's a
You've seen one
toilet.
of those before in Down Street.
Yep.
Just there.
It's a toilet.
Correct. That's the cistern
The cistern.
holder. That's the toilet.
And these are for.
This would have been a sink.
Yeah.
So that is a mount for a sink.
Oh, it's a mount for a thing. I thought it might be like a suction
Yeah.
pump for, stuff that would.
I would
fit
not have
through
known
there.
that was a mount for a sink. Can't lie.
So there are some clues about what else was in here. You can just see there's a little pipe holder there near this sink mount. And that exact mount,
Yeah.
a
That's
fragment
one.
like that survived in
Down
Down Street
Street.
in the corridor in the Churchill section there. So
Is that a bit of
Multi-
ceramic?
yeah, it is. So there's multiple examples down here of toilets
I know
and
loads of them.
washrooms.
The bog
Actually,
rock.
There's a
way
lot.
more than in Down Street.
And that tallies with that record that we have
Yeah.
that's in the Hidden London book, with the list of what
How many
was
people
down here.
were down here as well? Yeah.
So this continues, and this will go. That
Nice.
blue door is the other
Yeah.
side. That's another bridge.
There are some nice little survivors.
Oh.
A 4-flight Mexican arrow done with proper Johnston typeface.
How frustrating that like splash of yellow is just
I
at the
know.
end of
No
it.
sympathy for it, is there? But what I do like, can you see the signwriter's pencil
Yeah, you
lines
can see the
still
width,
survive?
length of the letters, size.
It's just incredible, isn't it?
And you can
That's
see that Y has been done by hand.
Yeah.
It's just a bit skew whiff, isn't it?
beautifully done.
Just fab.
Well, look, I think that's our cue.
Yeah.
Should we
To
exit
exit.
and see if we can go and find a ventilation shaft that's a bit cooler than
Yes.
where we are now?
Whew. I'm hot.
So in the 60s, the Victoria line arrived. Nice.
Yep.
But still a little bit too modern for me. I still like that old stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get some unusual views of the Victoria line if we go to quite an interesting little place now. Just up here.
He has more tricks up his sleeve.
So the Vic did do some good. It did do some
Well,
good.
it did. You notice we're a bit cooler here than we were in the old
I mean,
ventilation shaft.
Marginally, I wouldn't say.
That's a
it's
nice
pretty
little
cute.
breeze there, right? So
Well,
that
now
air's got to be-
there's one.
that air's got to be coming from somewhere. It's got to
Quite.
be moving somehow. So let's go to the source.
Yep.
Another day, another door.
Another anonymous door. It's easy for me to say.
Yeah. So this is another
Right,
nondescript.
I think somebody else might have to do that one because I'm
2 hands required.
maybe the other way. There it is.
Oh,
Well, I'm going to go in first. Haha.
Teeny tiny tunnel.
I can hear the Jubilee line. So, my darling experts, 2 questions for you. Number 1, when did they start digging the Jubilee line?
73.
Well, 1971.
That just
and
means when they ordered it from
Ah,
the foundry.
good.
Ah, yes.
Good.
Ah, yes.
So, through there, I've just heard the Jubilee line trains with a ooh, ooh, ooh,
Yep.
and there's a sign there saying Jubilee line. Where are we now?
Well, you are betwixt,
Ooh.
like that word, you are betwixt the Victoria line and the Jubilee line, or Fleet line as it was known when it was being built. As you rightly say, we're in the 70s, so we've gone metric on our measurements on the
4 holes.
diameters. Yeah, that's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's all good then.
But this rather tiny passageway belies what is ahead of us.
Shall we?
Betwixt and belies.
Getting it all in.
Loving it.
Crikey, has someone swallowed the dictionary?
Oh, you're right about the sound, aren't you?
Oh,
Oh, that is the face of Alex
Vic.
Lakey.
yeah.
Oh, 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 look,
He's
look.
doing the funky gibbon. I
So-
think that was.
Is that platform down there through the
It
grill?
is. Yeah, you're just getting a glimpse.
And is
Trudette.
Victoria line up there?
That's right.
Jubilee line down there?
Correct.
Exactly right. Do you want a little peek?
Isn't it?
Because I did promise you a little sneaky peeky of the Vic Line platforms from
Yeah,
a different
yeah,
angle.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we have to be a bit careful because there's some bits on the floor there. But,
Right, we can do it.
let's
You
head
lead
over.
the way, Macduff.
Well, I haven't done this bit. I've done
Oh,
that bit.
Come in
not
with me,
this
sister. This
bit.
is good.
I love
Oh,
these
hi.
little moments. Just awesome, isn't it?
Do you know what? When you look at this, this is one hell of a civil engineering project, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine.
Just a lot of spoil for a start, isn't it?
Too right. But when you think about the number of bends and everything else, and all these pieces are made bespoke, aren't they?
It's just the intricacy of the shape, and you have to order them to fit the shape you intend to build. So yeah, if you oh, hang on, we've got a train coming. She'll have that moment.
Here it comes.
Reminiscent of our Euston tour, yes?
Euston or Charing Cross, perhaps?
Well, this one, of course, is same age as the one at Euston.
I think you meant visually,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
or even a shepherd's bush. Whenever you mention spoil as well, it always makes me think of the panel that we've got on our Clapham South tour, where somebody, this isn't verbatim, but somebody says, just this huge amount of spoil like arrived on the common and you just kind of walked past it on your way to wherever you were going?
That's the thing,
Because it
though.
must be such a huge amount.
Can you imagine doing that in the heart of Mayfair?
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
why I'm thinking, like, where would
seriously.
it go? What did they do?
Well, there is another little thing that we've yet to go to,
Okay.
which may be your answer. As
Oh,
there is
Christopher. You
Oh,
tease.
nice.
feel that lovely breeze.
And that ultimately is the purpose of all this, isn't it?
Well, what that's doing is dragging the air up from the Jubilee line, and that is the source of that fresh air.
Such
So,
push.
should we have a quick, let us land magically down the stairs
Shall we?
and have a look.
I don't know about you, Nixie, but this has got real archway vibes to me. That bit where we
Definitely.
looked down and saw the platform
Yeah.
in a vent shaft.
It's
Here comes the train now.
train arriving. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's very, very much like Archway. Again, another of our big hitter episodes, that one, isn't it?
And also, you know, that when you look at the distance that we've dropped there through that staircase, you notice there's only 3 of us because we've left City at the top because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
It's one heck of a way down, and you really get an idea of the difference between the heights of or the depths, if you like, of the Victoria line, the Piccadilly line, and then the Jubilee line.
It's such an impressive staircase. I want to either have a red carpet down it for like a gala dinner arrival, or possibly the Morecambe and Wise big number with Angela
Rippon.
And the unfinished staircase, maybe?
And how many minutes do you think it'll stay red?
There are
I mean, it's filthy.
a lot of wow factors on this tour. I think you'd agree that this entrance and kind of like particular part of the journey is going to be a lovely wow factor. And I think what you've both hit the nail on the head there is there's lots of bits that are going to connect all these little bits together, and it is that kind of sense of depth and that sense of place that's going to really mould it all together into the overall tour. I am very excited.
Yeah, there are 2 things I never thought when we were talking about Green Park, because I always associated it with being a relatively modern station, Jubilee line, Victoria line. Kind of forgot myself about the Piccadilly line. That's the first thing, that there is so much to see, and I can completely see why you're turning this into a tour. And the second thing is, I've got to make an apology, and that is to Rylan. Hello, Rylan, because a little while ago we were chatting, and we were supposed to bring Rylan here, but we got last-minute access to this station, and we just had to scramble because we wanted City to come.
We can bring you back, Ryan.
Totally.
We will
go to the studio
or go
as well.
somewhere else. You know, we can do that with you. So
Many
I
places.
promise we'll take you somewhere.
I think this is, as I said earlier, one of these places where you have to come to really experience it.
You need to breathe it in, don't you?
You get a bit of a
Not too much
vibe, I
dust.
think, on screen, and hopefully we've managed to sort of capture the enormity of the site down here. But it's nothing like being in the belly of the beast, so to speak.
It is, and look at that up there. Can you see they've obviously used wood
Yeah.
to
the
plank
panel,
across.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge bit of wood as well.
It's enormous wood.
See the wood grain still on that bit,
Yeah.
can't you? Really clearly.
What
And
a
clearly
beautiful
they're
place.
expecting an invasion of chickens with this much chicken wire. Keep pigeons out, I suppose. But
Phenomenal.
well, look, there's one bit that I think is even more impressive than this.
Shall
So
we go and join
let's go
City
and
on
join
a
City.
little bench?
Let's do
She
it.
was just having a little sit down.
A little sit
I
down,
quite
bless
like
her.
one too.
I think it's very wise given those stairs.
And this is the final stage of our little view. Mummy's back. This is marvellous. She's had a little rest. Everything's fine. So 1979, the Jubilee line arrived at Green Park, not Dover Street. We've gone past that. And here we all are now in this yellow and grey.
I always thought it
area.
was so strange that Green Park got red tiles
Yeah.
and Charing Cross got green tiles.
But
Why?
it did get leaves
That's a
on them, didn't
good
it?
observation,
So-
isn't it? And of course, just down there is the old junction to Charing Cross, isn't it? Just down there.
I suppose red and green are at least complementary colours, but I did promise you some wind, and here it is.
Pardon me?
There's a
You
breeze.
feel that breeze, and we're
A dusty
finally
breeze.
at the
Nearly gonna
source.
say something
Yeah.
Now,
so rude.
I think this is the bit where you're going to see the juices worth the squeeze. This is quite
Can we remember
the
that
sight.
phrase? That's a good one. I'm going to use that. The juice is worth
Oh, he's
the
off,
squeeze.
he's off.
I've become the lost property department for London Underground today.
So
Hey,
have a
good
look
Samaritan.
that way first.
Okay.
Hello, Duarte.
What? So that we. So, what is that? Is that shuttered?
It is.
So,
Let's,
it's like something off Indiana Jones. So, what's that way then?
well, do you feel the air that's coming from that way?
Wow, look at
So,
one of those.
Just look at the cables
Yeah.
in the ceiling here.
So what you've got here is the two platforms. We've just come off, this one behind
Jubilee
us
South.
is the southbound.
Jubilee North.
And that's right, that's the Jubilee northbound over there. And they've got grill doors, so this area allows the air to mix between the two, to get pushed and pulled by the trains. And also, what is round there also helps a bit because it's quite tall.
Come on then, let's have a look.
Ready for an impressive shaft?
Yeah.
The temperature has distinctly dropped.
Isn't it
hasn't
cool?
it?
It's lovely down
Just
here.
to give the viewers a feel.
It's
a
cooler
little
down
chilly.
below.
It is. So this is something that you cannot do at our other sites that you can do here. Are you getting a sense of awe yet?
Oh my!
Look up.
Wow! Are we? Am I? Can I?
You go. Just be careful.
Oh,
Just be careful, sweetie.
so that's what? About 40 meters?
Yeah.
And that it comes out somewhere, and that's daylight up there, right? And this is where the air to the Jubilee line comes in.
That's it. When you say air, how are you spelling that?
Well, that's incredible. Do you want to have a look?
Pretty fantastical. Sorry, Chris.
Quite staggering.
Spatial
No,
awareness.
absolutely.
Spatial awareness.
It's
Well, the talk.
Really very cleverly hid the fabric of the building up there.
It's not something you see on any of our other tours, and that we've seen as a
Chris,
group
do you want to try
either.
and get here? So you
yeah,
can
I've got a
shot?
reasonable shot. It's just it's starting to rain.
Is it raining? Yes. Yeah.
So I don't want to get the lens wet, but
But also underneath here, this is kind of fun.
Sorry, Alex.
But I don't know if anyone is feeling like I can't really lift
no,
it. Sorry,
we'll
because I'm too pregnant.
do that one in 1 second. So the
Maybe a Patreon.
yeah, maybe I think a Patreon reveal.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes. The interesting thing about this is if you've done our tour at Charing Cross, you'll have seen something very similar to this, the Craven Street shaft, but you can't go down that. This is a very similar thing with this sort of J-shape base to the shaft, and really vast place. Unfortunately, the one at Charing Cross, it's just not possible to go down those step ladders there to do this.
So this will be on the tour of
Yeah.
Dover Street,
So
Green Park.
you can scratch that itch of getting into a Jubilee line ventilation tunnel on this one. And I think this is my favourite bit of the tour so far because it's quite nice and cool.
It's very cool.
It's gorgeous. It's
To be fair though,
gorgeous.
when this opens in the new year, it'll be chilly.
Yes,
True.
yes, that will be a wrap-up
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
won't
yeah.
it?
This has been just the most brilliant mix of new and old.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we said all that beautiful tiling and all that kind of thing, all your domain. And then we come fast forward to the late 1970s and beyond, and all the refurbs afterwards, and the new tiles that, frankly, aren't a patch on what the old ones were, but they do the job.
Yeah.
This is going to be one hell of a tour.
I think so, yeah.
Well,
Good luck with it, guys.
Yeah.
thank you. Yes. Well,
See ya.
the thing is, this place has got not only impressive spaces to look at, but really interesting, nicely gossipy stories as well, hasn't it? So I think it's a real beauty, this one, to come and have a look at. I hope that's whetted your appetite. But that's all we've got for you on site.
Yep.
Back to the studio.
Yeah, let's do it. Nixie, you've had your hand up for a little while. You all right there?
Well, yes, while we've been sat here, I've realised that Siddy has very carefully worn a top that's the same colour as the tiles that were down there. If you'll just get back into shot, Siddy.
Yeah, you're right. That light blue to match.
But we forgot to take any wipes along, and those tiles they didn't look that colour when we went round there, did they? They were. There was one point that I was tempted to do what's memeing at the moment and do a kind of a hock tour and give it a clean off to see if we could clean that thing. But no, we didn't really do that, did we?
I loved it. We might as well start with the tiles because, as we said, it was very reminiscent of Camden Town, really, those colours. If you think that's Dover Street's colours, there, just there. Cream, white and pale blue. And it was, in the original, Laura, it was a beautiful colour, wasn't it? It was a really lovely hand-painted blue. It looked lovely.
It's a bit like a baby blue. I might buy something for Siddy's new edition in the same baby blue because it is gorgeous. It kind of reminds me of like a summer's day where the sky is really blue, but not that kind of piercing bright blue with the sun kind of in it. It's just kind of got a little bit of cloud whipped in there as well, and it's just taken it down to that pale blue. That's where my mind goes with it. But I thought they were lovely, and I enjoyed how many of them we got to see.
And also, as we hinted at in the film, Sids, even the design of that station with that little horseshoe one-way system going round, it's amazing to imagine how much of that has survived. Not least of all, the Makers tiles. I mean, I found 2. There may have been another one, I don't know.
I know. Well, this is the thing that we've found with other stations on the Piccadilly line, right? So even Piccadilly Circus, Down Street, is that the locations of the station buildings when the line was being built were kind of set away from where the line had to go underneath, and so you have all of this corridor space, and I just think people don't. Yeah, you just don't expect it to be there, right? It's always such a delight and a surprise because I don't know, you sort of think 100 years on, surely somebody's trashed it or whatever, and no, there it is.
To find all those signs as well, those painted signs that
Yeah,
showed
even
that
the one
it was
you found.
Well, I mean, let's face it, you've schooled me well, crew. You've schooled me well. But it's just a station that when you look at the plans, it just follows all of the rules of Leslie Green. It's a beautiful building that was at street level. Then there was a very, very sort of very narrow shaft, if you like, of space that was used underneath that building, with corridors connecting under street level to tracks that ran under street level. And it's just really standard, if you like, but it was so beautifully done. And I love those curves on the tiles as well, Laura. The horseshoe, I loved it.
I mean, if you were going to ever ask me what was my favourite curvy station, it's going to be Dover Street.
It's lovely, isn't it, really? And then thanks ever so much for bringing the stories to us as well, Nixie, because the history of all of that, the fact that the tube was run from down there, the little mini 55 Broadway underground, it's remarkable. And to think that Down Street, which we tour as well, is another station that the country was run from these places, these disused spaces under London.
I think this is the thing. When I first heard these stories, when I first joined the museum 25 years ago now, these places were talked about as kind of separate instances of bunkers below ground. But the longer I've known them, the more I've come to realize that actually they were a network. It was designed to be like that because the Piccadilly line had these conveniently forgotten and disused spaces that were so suitable for repurposing. So the Piccadilly line really did become a coordinating hub, not just for the capital's transport, but for the nation's transport, and keeping all of the arteries of the transport network running throughout the wartime effort.
Fabulous. It was featured on Secrets of the London Underground with Siddy and Timmy off the telly, and now you've seen it on us. And of course, there's going to be a tour, isn't there?
Yes, so we're planning a Hidden London tour of the site in 2025, which I won't be running lead on because I'll be away at the time. But Chris, what do you think of this as a tour?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's got all the key ingredients that a good tour needs. It's got wartime history. It's got contemporary spaces to go and look at that are amazing and impressive. And it's also got just the right amount of little gossipy detail about that wartime stuff in a similar way to Down Street. So it shares a little bit of story with Down Street, but it's got some really fascinating stuff that's all its own and makes it a unique tour. So if you liked Down Street, if you liked Charing Cross, then as a tour, it combines elements from both of those that I think make it a really fabulous place to go and explore.
And we have got some incredible tours on at the moment. I mean, Laura, you've been working like a little demon, haven't you, to make sure that our little demons, our little kids, can go. As long as they're over 10 years old now, they can go. So the parents can take their kids who have probably been so green with envy at the places that Mummy and Daddy have been to.
I know. For such a long time, it was 14 years and above. which suited Hidden London in that stage of its life very well. A lot of the kind of wartime history was being taught at school at that time. And in terms of like the health and safety, how long the routes were, etc. But we had a lot of requests for the age to be lowered, and it's not been easy. It's been a very lengthy task, but we have got there. And if you have children who are 10 years or above, woohoo, they can come on the tour. So bring them with you, especially if you haven't seen any of our new sites, because they are all fabulous.
And Patreon, Nixie, we did hint at it in the film that we made a discovery. I mean, I say we made a discovery. You guys knew it was there. You just allowed me to be surprised. A filthy, dirty discovery. But if we're Patreon fans and subscribers to our Patreon, they'll get to see exactly what we lifted up.
Indeed, yes. Patrons will get to see that. And also, if you are a Patreon, go back and have a look through the back catalogue of Patreon specials, because we did cover the lift shafts and ventilation passageways that are, for obvious reasons, never going to be part of a public tour. I think it's about 18 months ago now we did that one. So that's a really great explore, that one. But that involved me going off into some really hidden recesses and doing that one. So there's lots more to enjoy there if you're a Patreon.
So the things you need to remember: Dover Street opened in 1906 on the Great Northern Piccadilly Brompton Railway. It was renamed Green Park in 1933 when the escalators were put in and the lift shafts were shut. In the 1960s, 1969, the Victoria line arrived. In 1979, the Jubilee line arrived. And we have now Green Park as it looks in all its splendour. There is Green Park in a nutshell. Thank you very much indeed, Nixie, as always.
Oh, splendid. Great to do this one last big explore with City before we say goodbye to her for a little bit.
Do you know, and it is a bit of an emotional time, Sids, because I mean, we never know with a pregnant woman whether we're going to get shouted at or tears. But it does feel a bit teary today because you are off to go and do something amazing, but you will be back, won't you? Please say you'll be back. Please say you'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be back. And I'm sure, little Munchkin will make his appearance as well. I mean, I'm only going to be gone for a few months, guys, and I'll give you updates and stuff. I'm not, gone forever, but I will miss you. And I'll miss all the viewers too, but I'll be watching.
It's going to be fantastic. And what we're going to do is a bit like the Roy Hattersley and I've got news for you. We're going to do a baby monitor just sitting at the table where City should be. Well, we're not really. Laura Hilton-Brown, thank you very much as always, darling.
Pleasure. I mean, in true, like, Hidden London hangout style, of all the stations we could have gone to, we picked a pretty dusty one for you, Sid. So I feel like it was a proper send-off. It was a kind of like peel back the layers, lots of treats and gifts and lots of dust all in one.
Fabulous.
It's all I could have wanted.
I know. What more do you need?
Yeah.
And then you need to go home and shower and sleep because it was all quite stressful.
Gorgeous stuff. Well, anyway, as we say, tatty bye to City just for a few weeks. It's been lovely being here again. If you want to find us on Instagram, Alex Grundon, Chris Nick, City Holloway, Hidden London Law, and at LT Museum. And if you want to, well, you've obviously found us here on YouTube, so thank you very much indeed. But you can comment and like down below, and we'll be back somewhere very soon indeed. In the meantime, have yourselves a great day and stay safe.